Today we wanted to talk about the human reproductive health, and let's first take a look at the male reproductive system. And testes are the place that the sperms are produced and then ripened. And if we wanted to take a closer look, and testes are produced next to the helical tubes. And next to these tubes, we have cells that they are responsible to produce the sperms. And at the time of the production, sperms, they are not elongated. And after production, when they are being pushed inside the tube, as a matter of fact, that's when the elongation takes place. And then as they are pushed inside, they get elongated. And when they are released inside the tube, most of the time they are not motile, and they are not ripened, they are not ready yet. And usually at that point, we have servicing cells that they come and they start producing services for the sperms. So you have servicing cells sometimes protecting the sperms, sometimes providing nourishments, depending on what they want to do. They'll start taking care of the sperms. At the tip of the sperm lies the most important part of the sperm, which is the enzyme part. And this enzyme plays a very important role in reproduction, because it practically holds the key to open the membrane of an ovum and allow the pregnancy to take place. So it happens sometimes that in a process of either traveling after being deposited in the female reproductive system, and after sperm trying to get into the ovum, it happens that sometimes sperms, they rub their head against so many obstacles that they end up not having the enzyme at the tip, and sometimes that is a contributing factor for a sperm being unsuccessful on reaching the ovum and inducing a pregnancy. However, as the sperms are produced and released inside the helical tube, then they start traveling, and as they travel toward the epididymis, which you can see in this picture, and that's the place that they are usually stored, they start becoming more active. And if we take a look at the movement, what is the system that helps them to move around? As a matter of fact, it's kind of a primitive system. When we take a closer look under the microscope, what we're going to see is that if you consider this as a head of the sperm, then at this part of it, you're going to see something like a backpack, which this backpack, what it contains sugar. And that is kind of a fuel that provides the energy required for a sperm to be motile and active and to swim, if you will. And again, the swimming part of it, it's kind of very interesting, simple design. What it is that it has the filaments, that these filaments simply by contracting and relaxing, then they provide that movement and makes the sperm capable of moving inside the female reproductive system, and also traveling all the way toward the fallopian tubes. And as a matter of fact, it's kind of a fish traveling inside the stream, trying to get to the point that fish can deposit the eggs. The same thing is almost happening in here. They are traveling upstream, and as a matter of fact, there is a contraceptive method that by taking those pills in the female reproductive system, you can dry up those secretions, and by drying up, practically it will make the pregnancy impossible, because then the sperms, they cannot swim upwards. And when we look at the sperms, sometimes people ask questions that why there is a need for so many millions of the sperms to be deposited in order to induce the pregnancy. And the reason is simple, because first of all, not all sperms that they are produced, they are healthy. Some of them, they are born with no heads. Some of them, they are produced with 2 heads. Some of them, they have 2 tails. Some of them, they have 3 tails. Some of them, they have no tails. And also there is a possibility of being damaged by the microorganisms, by germs, by different things that they are, they exist in our body. And then there is another reason that we need so many of them, because at the time of the deposit, practically, the female reproductive system is highly acidic. And it's designed, going through the evolution or whatever that you believe in, that it was the part of designing the female reproductive system, is that it is designed to be highly acidic because it's a protective measure. It protects the female reproductive system from the infections. We know that the female reproductive system hygiene, it is really important, because sometimes infections can lead to the pelvic inflammatory disease, and that can lead to infertility. So it is very important for a female reproductive system to remain acidic, and that's why, for example, when we take a look at the study done in Switzerland, done in a Mayo clinic, they have done this study, and they had the subjects, and they asked the subjects to take an ounce of cranberry juice every night, immediately following their last piece of their dinner. And the reason for that was that the hypothesis, or the educated guess, was that increasing the acidity of a female reproductive system is going to contribute to the health of the system and the protection of the system. And that's what they had as a hypothesis. And they, after doing the study and finding the results, they figured out that having an ounce of cranberry juice practically will help the female reproductive system to remain healthy. As we know, cranberry juice is one of those juices that it goes in acid and comes out acid. So now that we understand that the female reproductive system is highly acidic, as soon as the deposit is made, then obviously so many of the sperms, they're going to die in a process of the becoming deposited, because at the time of the making a deposit, then the sperms, they all coagulate together. They form a ball. And in that ball, all the sperms that they are in the outline or the outer layer of that ball, they are already dead, because they are neutralized by the acidity of the female reproductive system. And after the, when the acid is neutralized and when the environment is healthy again, or suitable or ready for the sperms again, and the pH or the hydrogen potential is down, then practically that coagulated ball liquefies again, and as it liquefies, then the sperms, they are released, and now they have to practically make two teams, because there is two fallopian tubes, and we don't know egg is released from which one of the ovaries. Sometimes people, they have a genetical predisposition to have twins, and if that is the case, it is possible that at the, every time of the month that there is an egg ripening and egg release to the fallopian tube, it is possible that instead of one egg, they have ripened two eggs. And then again, it is possible that one of those eggs, one egg relies in each fallopian tube, but that is not possible in every human being. So there is a need for genetical predisposition. So when the sperms are deposited and they are liquefied and they start traveling, and hopefully traveling upstream, because sometimes it happens that some sperms, they lose the direction. Instead of traveling upwards, they travel downwards, and we know that that's not going to induce the pregnancy. So they divide into two groups, and these two groups, one is going inside, toward the one fallopian tube, and the other group is going toward the other fallopian tube. And in a process, what they are doing is that while they are traveling, sometimes it happens that some of the sperms, they try to impregnate the first round thing that they come across with, thinking that that might be the ovum, and that's not the case. Maybe that's a microorganism and that it's lying in there, so that sperm obviously is not going to be that successful. And then they start, their try to swim upstream and get to the egg. And when we take a look at the male reproductive system, we see scrotum is especially designed that can keep the sperms in a very constant temperature, because that temperature is very important. It plays a crucial role in reproduction, because it cannot be higher than a certain temperature and it cannot be lower than a certain temperature. That's why, based on the outside temperature, scrotum either takes the testes closer to the body or takes it away from the body to keep the temperature constant and keep the sperms healthy. And if also we take a look at the male reproductive system, we're going to see that the sperms, when they are ripened, they travel and they go through via deferentia, and on their way to be deposited, they collect different fluids that they are highly alkaline. The fluid that they collect from the prostate, and the fluid that they collect from the Cooper's gland and also the semical vesicles, it is highly alkaline. And there is a reason for that, because as I mentioned, the female reproductive system is highly acidic. So there is a need, there is a call for having a highly alkaline fluid in order to neutralize the acidity of female reproductive system and allow the sperms to be safe and to induce pregnancy. So it is crucial. And if there is a question that why in 21st century, why in cities such as Los Angeles, New York, we are seeing people that they are having lower and lower number of the sperms, the contributing factor is sometimes due to the pollution. The pollution plays a big role in the number of sperms. Also, our eating habits contribute a great deal to the number of sperms. Type of clothing, smoking, abuse of alcohol, drugs, they all play a certain role, an important role in the number of the sperms, and obviously in the reproduction. And well, at the time that the time is right and the sperms are ready, and when they are deposited, then they start working and they start making the pregnancy possible.